Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Simsation Nation. In fact, today's episode happens to be the final episode of season 4, not the final episode of the podcast as a whole, but the final episode of season 4. I wanted to take this opportunity to just do some reflecting on what we have been able to accomplish this particular season. You know, ultimately, I've been recording this podcast since December of 2022. So it's been a year and about 3 months or so. And I'm just thankful for the continued messages that I received that these particular episodes have helped someone, even if it's one person. As they say, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. My entire purpose of this platform was to highlight the platforms of others while also putting some positivity out in the world that is just so infiltrated with negativity that's out there today. So first of all, thank you. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to all the viewers. I've received comments such as, hey, I was at an NBA basketball game, by the way, and one of my former bosses happened to be in a row in front of me. He said, hey, I'm addicted to your podcast. And I had no idea he was even watching. So I just want to say thank you to the folks that give me the feedback, positive or negative, you know, whatever it may be, to the folks that are continually watching, continually listening, and just taking something from it. I also want to say thank you to those that have subscribed, liked, shared some of these episodes. I'm not chasing numbers as far as on the screen is concerned, but I am trying to reach as many people as I possibly can. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm looking at a counter to see how many subscribers I have. But I do like to see the views because it lets me know that it's actually reaching the intended audience. So please continue to share, like, comment, take a couple of seconds. I know sometimes we go listen to these episodes and we say, oh, that was great, and we move on. But if you can take a second to just subscribe to the YouTube channel, if you're the ones that are out there watching the videos. If you're a listener on some of the audio platforms, great. Again, this podcast is out on all of the major podcast platforms, whether it's Google, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify. It's out there, whatever your favorite platform is. So if you're listening on your way to work, on the way home, things like that, again, really appreciate it. I will say some of these episodes, they are somewhat of a build-up. And I usually have somewhat of a personal connection with a lot of the guests. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But the first couple of minutes is really me getting reacquainted or acquainted with the person that I'm interviewing. So if you're one of the people where it's kind of like, look, just get me to the meat and potatoes of it all, feel free to fast forward and get straight to the point. You will probably have noticed with this season, I shortened my introduction, one, to make the episode shorter, but two, to just kind of get into the meat and potatoes of what we're hoping to talk about. So again, viewers, listeners, watchers, thank you for your continued support, and I really appreciate it. To those that have come on and recorded an episode with me, I thank you as well, because I know that your time is valuable. You could be doing anything with your time, but to come on here and to spend 45 minutes, sometimes an hour with me is much appreciated. Again, you're taking time out of your day to help plant seeds for trees that may produce fruit that you may never see. But again, you may find yourselves out there sharing some stories over and over again. And a platform like this is perfect to be like, hey, just go watch season 3, episode 2, or whatever it may be. So thank you for your time, for coming on. When I first started this podcast, it was really more about me just kind of pontificating and talking directly to the camera about some things that were on my mind. Then eventually, something came to me and said, reach out to Senior Leader X. Hey, I heard you wrote a book. I think it's a good book. Do you want to share, some thoughts about the book? It went from inviting a couple of senior leaders and, just kind of scrambling to see if anybody wanted to come on. And the tables have turned a little bit. And now it's really more, hey, Shooter, how can I get on your podcast? Which I think is awesome. It's really awesome for me because while I was trying to get people to come on, more people are expressing interest in coming on. So I will probably continue doing episodes with guests. There will be at some point where I probably will just do episodes solo like this. But I do appreciate and enjoy having having guests on. Most of the people that I record with, before I hit the record button, you'll hear me say, I literally have a whiteboard, and down one side is a bunch of topics and things that I think are important to me, things that I want to talk about. Down the other side may be a list of people that I've encountered, great leaders, just great people as a whole, that I'm like, man, I really probably want to get this person on this podcast to talk about something one day. Sometimes those two things mesh, and it's like, perfect person that I've been wanting to get on to talk about this perfect topic. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But again, to the guests that I've had, thank you so much for your time as well. I just want to kind of do a very quick recap as well. But before I do, I also want to thank, first and foremost, my wife, Dr. Letitia Sims, who helped create, the ambiance behind me. She helped me create the concept. She helped to I don't know if it's producing, editing, I don't know the difference, but she helped me to put together, some of the backdrop that you see on the podcast, the intros, the outros, just the general themes. So I could not have done this without her. A while back, I saw a good friend of mine who was doing a podcast, and I kind of wanted to emulate what they were doing. So I want to thank my wife for all the support that she does behind the scenes. It got to the point where it got so busy that I had someone that came along and volunteered to say, hey, I want to, help edit some of these episodes. So with that, I want to thank Mike Ward, who every single week goes in and takes all the information and the templates, if you will, that my wife put together. And he, trims out and cuts out some things, some hiccups here and there, and he just makes it into an actual episode. And so again, Mike Ward, I want to thank you for your time, because I know your time is valuable, and I appreciate having you on the team for sure. And he's doing that out of the goodness of his heart, by the way. As I mentioned, some of the people that kind of helped lay the way, people like Colonel Gabriel Avila, Gabe Rock, he goes by, who has a podcast. I emulated what he was doing. I called him and told him straight out, hey, I want to do what you're doing. And he kind of gave me the blueprint. People like Russell Lewis, who had been doing podcasts as well, who gave me some advice on what equipment to buy. Here's what kind of mic I had. Same thing for Jason Liddick Gargan, who had done an audio podcast a while back. Same thing, offering me some advice on what to do and how to do it. To my son, who was the very first guinea pig, you'll see my very first episode that we recorded at a table together when I was really just trying to learn how to operate the equipment. And we share a passion for music, so we were able to just kind of sit around and converse about music. My daughter's come on to be a guest before to talk about the life of the military child during Military Child Appreciation Month. So all the folks that are involved, if I hadn't mentioned your name, my apologies, but you know who you are. I know some of you have reached out to express interest to come on the episodes. Trust me, I have written your names down. If I haven't responded or if I haven't put you in the lineup, I did not forget about you. There's a delicate balance between what I record and when, and what I release and when. So all of that really kind of goes into it. This is a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have a hobby before. I was looking for a hobby. I like talking. I like public speaking. And when I first started doing this, I was like, man, this is so fun. I still feel the exact same way now. And it is work that goes on behind the scenes. For a while there, I was thinking and wondering, every now and then, like, is it worth it? Is it helping people? Is this something I should continue doing? Why am I doing this kind of thing? But not a day goes by where I get reassured that what I'm doing is having a positive impact on other people. And that is the constant wind beneath my wings, if you will, to help keep me going on this thing. I enjoy this journey. I hope that it continues to benefit you. So as I look back and reflect on season 4 as a whole, we started out with winning leadership with Atlas Altman. He kind of talked about his experience in the White House and in war zones and things of that sort. I saw him on a TED Talk one day, and I was like, yeah, he'd be a great person to help talk about, winning leadership and his concept. He's an author. He's written a lot of things. Great leader from his military service, and he's continuing to just kind of push out positivity in the world as well. So I highly encourage you to go check out his podcast, season 4, episode 1. Season 4, episode 2 was entitled Grounded Leaders with Lieutenant Colonel Tamika Payne. I call her T-Pain. She helped me unpack the subject of being a grounded leader. What does it mean to be a grounded leader? How does a leader stay grounded, right? Sometimes we get our heads puffed up, if you will. We get in these leadership positions and, you could very easily lose yourself, but you've got to remain grounded. So really encourage you to check out that episode. Also, another great episode, as all of them will be. Season 4, episode 3 was bearded leadership. There's been a lot of controversy, a lot of talk about whether or not beards should be allowed across the board in the military. There's a lot of history behind medical conditions. Again, controversial sometimes. Some may say, well, if people are trying to game the system, they don't want to follow the rules and regulations and the dress and appearance standards. The other side is kind of fighting for it. No, literally, I'm scarring my face up. Colonel Dear Beloved helped me to come on and talk about some of the medical research behind why there is a push for beards. Again, I really highly encourage you to go out and check out that episode as well. Season 4, episode 4 was called Perseverance with Dan Cunningham. Dan Cunningham was a former student of mine, if you will, who's an officer in the United States Air Force now. He actually shared what it means to persevere. He shared some personal stories about overcoming some hardships, talked about resiliency, and shared some very personal moments in his life. And the fact that he was able to come on and share those stories to help benefit other people was very beneficial. Really encourage you, if you're looking for a motivation boost, to go check that episode out. Season 4, episode 5 was with my good friend, Chief Ricky Walks, Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force. We talked about the title of Big Fish, Little Pond. I came up with that topic a while back because it's one of those things where you find yourself in different professional environments. You're just like, man, I'm just a big fish in a little pond. Well, what about a big fish in a big pond, or a little fish in a little pond, or a little fish in a big pond? All in all, it just depends on what type of area of responsibility you have in your current moment. It's not one that's necessarily permanent, but he helped me to actually dissect what that means. If you're curious to which one you're in right now and how long you think it may last, and if it's a benefit to you, definitely check out that episode. Season 4, episode 6. We call that taking a strategic pause versus taking a knee. That was with my good friend, Charito Corbin. Charito Corbin actually took advantage of the career intermission program, very similar to the folks that take a sabbatical in the civilian world. She talked about the pros and cons of taking a pause or strategic pause. Being a strategic pause is a proactive thing to say, hey, I may want to just take some time to take care of myself or family. But the reactive side is, I didn't do that, so I need to take a knee. I need to take a break because things caught up with me. I really highly encourage you to check out her episode as well, because she shared some very personal experiences about how she felt when she actually returned to her job, and how she might have felt that she was behind the power curve, and how it impacted her mentally and professionally, and how she overcame it. So a good one as well. Season 4, episode 7 is the military transition with Colonel Mark Packler, the Alabama Bulldogs, Alabama football team. He talked very bad about the Georgia Bulldogs on the episode. So once you fast forward past that portion of the episode, you'll see that there was some really, really good information in there about what it means to retire from the military, how to prepare for it, whether you're thinking about retiring. We're all going to have to retire one day. You just recently retired. You've been retired for a while. He talked about what it felt like, what it feels like to be outside of the military and not wearing the uniform anymore, and some of those adjustments that had to be made. So again, I think this is not just for the military people. This is also for people that are in the civilian world. At some point, when you're doing something for so long and you're not doing it anymore, it can take a psychological toll on you. So check out that episode so you can get some good advice. The next episode is called Fail Yours, Failyours. This is a gentleman I brought on. His name is Dr. Sean Hoggs, very successful gentleman in his own right. And we look at people and we see a story and we go, man, they're very successful. How did they do that, right? A lot of times we don't see what's beneath that waterline. We see that duck gliding gracefully across the water, but we don't see the feet moving below, or the tip of the iceberg that's above the waterline, and we don't see the big piece below. The big piece below are some of those failures we've had to overcome. And so there are failures in life. You just have to own them, which is why it's called failures. They're your failures, and figure out how to overcome them and use them to your advantage. Check out that episode as well. Next episode is called Being Financially Sound. We had my good friend Marcus Smith come on. He's running for city councilman in Melbourne, Florida. He is a what I would call a financial expert. He talked about financial stability, how to get there, how to save your money, spend your money, invest your money, but also enjoy your life at the same time, how to deconflict maybe a relationship between two partners where one may have a different financial perspective on things than the other. Really good episode if you want to figure out how to take $1 and turn it into, well, take 15 cents and turn it into $1. I think it was Tupac that said trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. So check out that episode if you want to figure out how to make some residual or passive income while you're sleeping. The next episode, which was our last episode before this one, is called The Legal System. Micah Polson was also a former student of mine at our UNC Chapel Hill when he was in ROTC. He went on to be a successful officer in the Air Force, separated from the Air Force honorably, of course, and went on to law school, graduated from law school, passed the bar, and is now a lawyer. He talked to me about some of the things that he had to overcome, go through with regard to the legal system, what it means to be a lawyer, the prosecutors versus defense, and what he ultimately wants to do as a lawyer, and finding that satisfaction to give back. So for those that are out there wondering what it's like to become a lawyer and you think it's just super easy, he's going to break down for you what he had to endure, passing the bar, things like that, and just give his perspective on the legal system as a whole. That's it, folks. That is season 4. It's been fun to record, just like all the previous seasons. Season 5 is definitely coming for sure. I have a whole guest lineup and a whole topic lineup, and it's going to be just as equally as exciting as the previous episodes before it. So again, really want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing on Simsation Nation. I'm out.